Okay, so between the 23rd of May and the 1st of September, with 1009 deliveries, I made the reality of working for Wolt. I work as a Wolt courier for the whole summer, and I'm here to share my experience, pros and cons, how much I made on a bike as a complete beginner, and whether you should consider working there. I borrowed this bike from a friend and started working, and I was constantly looking for a decent option in the meantime. After a few days of searching and checking out some options in person, I decided to go with this. I found it on Facebook Marketplace for around 100 euros. It was in okay shape, so I didn't have to spend time or money on repairing the bike. At this price point, a lot of second-hand bikes need repairs and maintenance, so be careful of that. Oh, my bike also came with a bike lock and a helmet, which was quite nice. Let's start with my experience. I started working as a Wolt courier on the 23rd of May 2023. My first order was an absolute nightmare. I got lost on my way to the restaurant, then on the way to the customer, and was easily 30 minutes late. I wasn't familiar with the area and made 100 wrong turns. I thought I would get fined, but no. I got help from the support and was reassured that it was all good. Anyway, after a few days, the work was quite simple and straightforward, but definitely not easy. I was riding around 30 kilometers a day maybe, so the job was very demanding physically if you use a regular bike like me. It's probably a bit easier if you can afford an e-scooter or an e-bike or even a car, but I didn't have any money for that. At Wolt, there is no fixed schedule, so you can work whenever you want, but personally I tried to work every day, except for one accident which I'll talk about a bit later. Riding a bike everywhere is not easy, and navigation was a big issue, especially early on. I work in the Espoo area, and there were a lot of construction sites throughout the city in the summer. There are not that many now, but trust me, there'll be plenty in summer. Google Maps often doesn't know about them and suggests riding straight through it, which is obviously impossible, so I had to travel around. Another big issue is that Google Maps sometimes doesn't know or doesn't show the exact location of the destination. Let me give you an example. Say I have a delivery to Itatulenkuja 5A, which is just a random address I chose. Google Maps will only show me the rough location without pinpointing where exactly building A is. So if there are a lot of buildings, let's say A, B, C, D and so on, sometimes it takes a while to figure out where should you go. It does get better with time and experience though. I learned a lot in the first few days, like where the Burger King is in the mall, which floor, what's the best entrance and so on. I also got familiar with the restaurants, like which are nice and convenient and which I would rather avoid. The only problematic one is the K-Market, which is the only non-restaurant place I used to get orders from. K-Market orders are what I call the casino food delivery, because it can be an easy roll of toilet paper or an insane 20-kilogram feast for someone living on the 5th floor with no elevator. Like, how is this a thing? I almost died carrying it on a bike, and I don't want to just cancel the order because I spent so much time going there to pick it up, so I'll have to do everything over again, otherwise it's just a big waste of time. Besides that, you should keep in mind that there's always a risk of an accident or injury without any compensation. As an entrepreneur and contractor, which is exactly who you are if you work for Wolt, unless you're in Germany for some reason, you don't get sick leaves and other benefits a regular job would have. This is a big downside of working for Wolt. There's always a risk of getting ill or getting into an accident after which you cannot work. This is exactly what happened to me as I fell from a bike on a sharp turn. It was not a serious injury or anything, but it hurt for a while and I couldn't work. But as a broke uni student, the worst thing was that my bike brakes as well as a few other parts broke down and I couldn't ride my bike back home. Wolt will not compensate you if you are injured during work or help with the repair and maintenance costs, so that's something you should always remember. I called a few bike repair shops and the repair would have cost me anywhere between 55 to maybe 110 euros, so it's quite pricey. Luckily, I found a volunteer organization where mechanics help you fix the bike yourself. It's called Helsinki Bike Kitchen, and they had all the tools necessary to fix my bike and some spare second-hand parts. It saved me so much money as I only paid 11 euros for a new chain, and that's it. I'm really thankful to them, and if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, consider going there. Now let's talk about the money. Here's how much money I made throughout the entire summer, 101 days to be exact, working as a Wolt courier. Let me see. Okay, so between the 23rd of May and the 1st of September, with 1009 deliveries, I made 4,703 euros and 94 cents after riding more than 3,200 kilometers. Before you get shocked, let me clarify that that's the money of two people, as both me and my friend used this exact account. It's totally legal here in Finland, and I appointed him as a substitute with a permission from Wolt. I kept everything for accounting purposes, and out of this amount, 1,362 euros and 50 cents are his. So in total, my actual earnings were 3,341 euros and 79 cents, of which I paid 75 euros for the Wolt gear, leaving me with 3,266 euros and 79 cents. I got paid on average anywhere between 4 to 5 euros per delivery. It used to be a pretty simple formula, but now there's an algorithm that determines everything, so you can't really tell how it works. Usually, more distance equals more money, but it's not always like that. It considers factors like weather conditions, size of the delivery, location of the merchant, time of day, and so on, according to this guy. Also, a big downside I noticed is that pickup distance, so meaning how far you have to travel to get to the restaurant, is usually paid way less than the drop-off distance. So say if I'm right next to a restaurant and delivering to someone 2 kilometers away, I'll probably get paid just around 5 euros. But if it's the opposite and I travel 2 kilometers to the restaurant and then the customer is right there, I'll only get paid maybe 4.2 euros. So it's a bit confusing. Anyway, let's move on to my schedule. I work an average of 3 to 4 hours a day, and I made anywhere between 25 to 70 euros a day. I understand that's a pretty big range, but that's just how it is. I would say I average out around maybe 40 euros in a bit over 3 hours, so my salary range probably in like 13-15 euro an hour range. In my experience, unless there are double orders, which is when you pick up 2 orders or more before delivering them to customers, or a lot of very short deliveries like under 1 kilometer, it's hard to earn more than that. Let me give you an example from my most profitable day and the not so good one. It's 1st of July 2023. It's Saturday. I start working 11:30 am. The weather is quite harsh with some rain and wind, so I take more time to prepare and get out the rain cloak that I specifically got for this. I get out and start picking up my first order. It's a double. I finish it up and come back for a new order. Double again, then triple, and again, and again. I think I was the only courier active during that time. I rushed to make as many deliveries as I can. I was soaking wet beyond belief, covered in mud, shoes soaking up maybe a liter of water each. It was a tough time. From 11:30 to around 3 p.m. I made 97 euros, which is quite good. I think that the worse the weather, the more people order and fewer couriers are active. So if it's a literal blizzard outside, you can make some good cash, but please be safe. Now moving on to the not so good one. It's 31st of May 2023. It's Wednesday. I start work 11:13 am, get my first few orders done, and just over an hour later, nothing. I waited for around an hour, calling my family in the meantime, and didn't get a single order. I still made around 25 euros, which I was okay with, but it would be tough if this was my full-time job. Now back to my earnings. Also work pretty much only during peak hours, so that's between 11 am, 2 pm during lunchtime obviously, and 5 pm, 8 am during dinner. Working at other times is usually less profitable, and I have to wait around 5 to 10 minutes or more for the next order. In peak times, I get orders almost immediately. It depends on the competition, so how many couriers are active, the amount of orders, so it's kinda random. So for a hypothetical full day shift from 11 am, let's say to 7 p.m, you can earn anywhere between, let's say, 70 to maybe 120 euros, depending on the day. Fridays and Saturdays are the busiest, Sundays are good, Mondays are super slow, and the rest are okay. Something to consider is that summer is usually the slowest season here in Finland, as basically everyone is on vacation in Spain or something, so your earnings depend a lot on the season. Winter and some holiday seasons like Vappu are super busy, but others, like Johannes for example, are completely empty, so be prepared for seasonality if you want Wolt to be a full-time job. Hopefully that answers your question, Hassan. Can you tell that I've been postponing this whole thing for a month? You should also remember that being an entrepreneur has its downsides too. If you earn more than 8,500 a year, you have to buy mandatory Yale insurance, cover other expenses. So a study done by these guys shows that if a regular full-time employee makes 3,000 a month, you need around 4,100 a month to be equivalent. That's because of vacation time, sick leaves, pensions, and so much more. So if a regular employee makes 10 an hour, you need to be making 13.5 an hour, unless you are willing to give up benefits for higher income. I'm working on a website, which hopefully will be done by the time this video comes out, where I detail everything you need to know about taxes, payment options, mandatory Yale insurance, and opening a company, so you can check it out. It's completely free and definitely not proper legal advice, but could help some of you to learn something. To sum up, I quite like working as a career, even if it's quite hard at times. Otherwise, I'd probably have no job. I'm a master's student at Aalto University, pretty good uni, and got rejected hundreds of times from everywhere, including Burger King and McDonald's, let alone a professional job related to my degree. I also work fundraising jobs and nighttime post-delivery, and trust me, Wolt is much better. Big thanks to Aldo Takeout for letting me borrow the equipment and making this video possible, and thanks to you for watching the video.